Welcome to the Restoring Balance podcast, where two lifelong friends get together to rewatch and discuss why they love Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm Mike.
And I'm Jim. Today we're discussing Book 1, Episode 2, The Avatar Returns.
All right, The Avatar Returns. What do you got for me, Mike?
I've got a few things to say, actually.
I saw your list. It is only a few.
How dare you? So Aang and Katara get back from the booby-trapped ship, and there's a big scene where they kick out Aang. Led by Sokka, I think. But immediately after, Katara decides that she's going to go with Aang, sort of as an act of rebellion or something. I was just surprised how nobody really tried to stop her. Like, she's this, 12-year-old girl or something like that. And she's saying she's going to leave home when there's already, no one in the village. And there's basically no pushback except they look kind of sad. And Sokka says, "You're going to leave your family?" I was just surprised that there was no one stepping forward to say anything.
I think, just on the age side of things, I think she's supposed to be like 13 or 14. Supposed to be older than Aang, at least. And we all know he's 112. Well,
I was going to say 11.
You have a point. I'm thinking that that's the writers showing us that she has a tendency to overreact about certain things, and the village knows Katara better than we do.
Yeah.
They could easily just be sitting there like, oh, here she goes again, and we just might find ourselves doing the same thing when she goes off on her hope speeches, So I think for me, at least,
It fits her character.
yeah, it just fits her.
You're right. She does bring an important emotional aspect to the group. She's more caring and more prone to emotional outbursts when people aren't being caring to others and things like that.
Right.
And she grounds the group in that regard. That's a good point that because she's more prone to emotion, an outburst like this isn't uncommon, but they understand that she does love them and she probably won't go through with it. I really love the shots where Sokka's after the tribe sees that flare come up from the abandoned Fire Nation ship and tell Aang he needs to leave, they begin to prepare for what they think is an oncoming Fire Nation invasion, or at least somebody to come. And they're right, Zuko is on the way. And so there's a montage of Sokka lacing up his proverbial boots. He does not have boots, but he puts on his Water Tribe armor, he puts on his war paint, he gets his weapons ready, and at the same time, we see Zuko having his armor put on him by his troops, and he's preparing for what he thinks is a fight with the Avatar. But it's interesting how even these scenes sort of show their character, where Zuko has the support somewhat of the Fire Nation behind him. He still has some of his power as a prince, and so he has these people doing things for him, whereas Sokka's all alone in this village. He's the oldest boy. All of the male figures in the society have left to go to war. Or captured. And so it's interesting how Sokka's all alone, putting on his armor, and then Zuko has the support of his men. And that's an aspect of filmmaking or making a show that I didn't realize when I was younger, watching the show for the first time. But I really think it does add to the experience.
It's just done in such a simple way. There's no words here to showcase that, yeah, he is from a powerful nation. They have resources. They have people. He even is dressed by other people. Katara's rant, when she was going off in her rant, she talked about how Aang brought fun.
Aang's brought us something we haven't had in a long time. Fun.
Fun? We can't fight firebenders with fun.
You should try it sometime.
And he absolutely did. All of our main cast members that we've been introduced to up to this point, besides Iroh, all of them are kids, and every single one of them except Aang has assumed this responsibility of what type of adult they have to be, whether it's thrust upon them or they thrust it upon themselves.
It's interesting how seemingly the kid who has the most responsibility as the Avatar in this post-war world where the Fire Nation has taken over, right now is still living in denial to himself and to others. He hasn't even revealed he's the Avatar. And then these poor kids who are in the war-torn Southern Water Tribe. And even Zuko, who's had his life destroyed by the Fire Nation in a sense, but mostly his family in the Fire Nation, all have all this weight on their shoulders.
Yeah, that is interesting. I never thought about that. It's the person with the most responsibility showing the least.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But even when he embraces his responsibility later, he still stays lighthearted and keeps the fun going.
That's so cool. You're right.
It's a key part of his character. But right now, he's in denial.
Right. He's in denial, but it is him. You know, again, talking about how well we know these people throughout the entirety of the series. It's very much Aang.
It's his character.
Yeah. He does continue to utilize his happy-go-lucky ways to avoid responsibility throughout this season in particular.
And to ride a bunch of animals.
Yep. Big animals guy.
And that's why he got along with Monkiatso so much. They both had that trickster energy.
Yeah.
Fun-loving, pie-throwing, monkey-chasing energy.
Mooncakes.
And during that montage with Zuko and Sokka, I just think, like we were talking about how it developed not only their characters as young men who have to go to war, in a sense, but also develop the nation's characters themselves. Where you said the Fire Nation, you can see how it was an organized military state just based on the way that Zuko gets dressed and how the Southern Water Tribe has lost all of its men and war ability, judging by the fact that it's just Boyd just getting dressed by himself. Not only that, you can see through the materials that they're wearing how their cultures have grown over time. So for Zuko, he's wearing all this metal, like machined armor.
Yep.
Even his little ponytail holder is like made of shining metal. Whereas Sokka's is like pelts and fur and bone, reflecting their culture.
Yep. They do a great job here early on again, you know, with the way that they build the world, in that they show the industrialization of the Fire Nation. You know, at the end of the day, that is one of their reasonings for doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And throughout the series, we see it grow. We see their
technological prowess.
Yeah, it just increases throughout the series. We get even in this season, we have Teo and the Mechanist.
Yeah, they made the bombs and the blimps.
Well, the air balloons, war balloons, right? And then not only do we get to see like those same ones made and utilized by the Fire Nation, but the big ones later on as well.
Those things are scary.
Yeah, they're freaking terrifying. And that drill, you know?
The drill, what a good show.
Yeah. Wow. And we'll get there, of course. How about Sokka when that ship comes into the village?
Surprisingly brave, honestly, for having no combat experience, barely able to swing his machete.
He didn't move. He stood his ground with this giant ship coming right out.
I mean, it was pretty foolish. I like it. What are you doing? It doesn't make any sense to stand there, honestly. But it was a surprise, to me at least, when the front of the ship dropped. Like, I remember when I first watched it.
He keeps his word. You know, it's as he states before, he promised Dad that he would take care of the village. And he thought that was taking care of the village, you know, standing his ground. And he absolutely does it. It's more insight into the type of person he is, again, so early on.
He's got very strong convictions.
Yep.
And then he continues that in his tenacity to fight Zuko, even though Zuko shows himself to be a much better fighter, like immediately defeating him like 2-3 times maybe.
Yep.
He never gives up.
Show no fear!
And talking about the technology, he absolutely destroys his bone spear. But that boomerang, gotta love it.
Yeah, the boomerang's made of metal, I think.
I would have to guess so as well.
Just weird how all of his other weapons are bone, and then he's got this
Right.
metal boomerang.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's what makes it all the more special.
Why it's his best weapon.
Boomerang guy.
That's why he's the
course.
boomerang guy. All his other weapons broke.
That boomerang is just so clutch. I literally think of it as a character whenever it comes out and does what it does. Because they use it seldom enough to keep me excited, at least, whenever it's used.
It's not overplayed.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't even feel like a boomerang guy to me, really, you know?
They just did it the perfect amount, yeah. They talked about it a little bit without using it with the boomerang guy. Used it sometimes, like, very well done.
And then after Zuko's fight with Sokka, or at least confronting the village, Aang comes sliding back in on a penguin, of course, to save them. But during the fight, or at the end of the fight, Aang turns himself in. And it just really, it's cementing his character of being a pacifist and someone who doesn't want anyone innocent to be hurt. Because all he sees is like the village is scared behind him, maybe getting some heat off of the firebending attacks. And he immediately is like, this is not worth it. You know, I'm going to turn myself in. Just the compassion he's displaying. That's the thing I didn't notice on my first watch through of the show, was just how much he adheres to his pacifist nature. Because I would watch the action scenes and just be like, oh, he's throwing people off buildings. He's blasting them with air. But he's very careful to not like do damaging blows to people. Even when he's a prisoner in Zuko's ship. Like, all he does is knock him into a wall and run away.
Yep.
He gets the
He
best.
stays behind people, too.
Yeah, he gets the best of Zuko and stands right behind him. He doesn't deliver any blows. He just hides, looking for an escape, and then leaves.
Yep. Imagine how much damage he could do. He's right behind him. But he doesn't.
He earned those tattoos, you know? He's the master of airbending.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy how advanced he is in airbending. I wonder how it feels. Like, he's mastered airbending, right? And it came so naturally to him. But now he has to learn 3 other elements. And it's like, and I know the feeling when you're starting from scratch, trying to learn something new. It doesn't feel good. So it's like, it's interesting. He has to humble himself every time he goes to learn a new element. And I know he deals with frustration later, especially with earthbending.
Yep. It's awesome.
That's life, man.
It's what makes the show relatable. Or, you know,
Because of the struggles.
one of the points.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Even though he's a prodigy airbender, he still struggles to learn other things and in other aspects of life, you know? Being the Avatar is not everything.
Well, as he says later on, he never wanted it to be. Let's take a second to step to the side and talk about how Aang's not wearing any clothes. Not cold.
What? Oh, okay.
He's absolutely in the South Pole of the world, and he's fine. I remember some justification talking about how since Aang is this monk, they gain the ability to control their body temperature through the way that they like breathe.
There's certain practices like related to meditation where you can use your breathing to control. Well, your nervous system like interacts with your breathing. Like your nervous system controls your breathing automatically, and then you can change your breathing to change your nervous system in that sense. And your nervous system also controls your body temperature and all those sorts of things. You know, all the automatic aspects of your physiology. And so, in certain practices of like different monk groups, they've learned how to use different breathwork and meditation techniques to actually control the temperature of their extremities. My understanding is that they can't really change the core temperature very much, but it's when you're exposed to an environment that's like way outside normal, you can influence your body to make your like hands and feet warmer. So maybe it's based off of that idea.
It's only extremities. I need to do that for like when I'm at work. I feel like I'm freezing at work all the time.
My hands are always freezing. That's true. Maybe I should look into how that works.
Makes me wonder how long you'd be able to do it too. It's like Aang's been here for like, I don't know how long, at least a day. He spent one night here, right? Like, I know I would be freaking freezing. Like, are we breathing like that while we sleep too?
If we're being honest, I'm not sure Aang's doing that. I think it might just be an oversight.
Yeah.
Because he freezes in the North Pole. Oh no, Zuko freezes in the north.
Zuko does, but Aang doesn't.
Oh, okay, you're right. Why is he not freezing?
What the heck?
Because Zuko's got fire bending and he's dying.
Yeah. Huh. Oh, all this to say, I think Aang's got some powers, if
Yeah,
you can believe it.
I really think he's got some sort of bending or something.
Man. Something special about that guy.
Like, speaking of being cold, though, like, where do the waterbenders get wood? They live on ice sheets. They literally live on ice sheets next to glaciers. Where are they getting the wood for their fires? They're on the water. First of all, I don't think it's very safe to be living on an ice sheet over the water.
True.
The one
That
slip and you freeze to death.
ship absolutely slices up into their settlement.
I thought they were going to drown.
Yeah.
Like, that thing's splitting their whole...
We just saw Sokka and Katara almost drown by getting their boat crushed up in the last episode.
surprisingly calm, both of them, after losing their only way back. Like, you're trapped. You were supposedly the lead of the army of this village. Katara was holding down the village with everyone else, and now they're gonna die. Like, the two oldest kids. Luckily, Aang was there.
Where do you think they get the wood?
That's what I'm saying. Do they have, like, traders stop by their village and, like, you can buy wood? You know, like, maybe that's where he got that boomerang. You know, because, like, they don't have metallurgy,
That could be.
but he's got a metal boomerang. You know?
Wouldn't be surprised if that was a thing.
Because they can't really leave the village very easily to go to, like, a nearby town. And I don't think there are any nearby towns. So maybe, like, traveling merchants on the water come by and sell them, like, here's firewood, here's blankets, here's raw materials and whatnot. So all they got is ice. And snow.
Wood's not the only flammable thing, right?
Burn blubber.
Blubber. That's what I was thinking.
Are there any blubbery animals in Avatar? Are there any whales in Avatar? Do you see any whales? Whales are awesome.
We get the sea monsters.
Nah, whales are awesome, dude.
They sure are.
I like a whale better than a sea monster. I don't know about you.
I mean,
There's something special about whales.
they're both up there. You're right. Like, for anybody listening, I love turtles. And whales give me the same vibes.
Just like a slow, gentle, ancient feeling animal
Yeah.
with a wisdom to them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call turtles very wise, but maybe they're like giant Galapagos tortoises. You know?
Yeah.
They got a nice...
They're just old. You know, with age comes wisdom.
Yeah.
150, dude. As Crush says in Finding Nemo. And he's still young.
Still young.
And we get the lion turtles. But I mean, you never know. The world that we're operating in, it's supposed to be like ours, of course, but it's got its own things. I think in terms of being a viewer, it's absolutely reasonable to accept they probably have some means of getting wood and burning it, or whatever it is that they are burning, to operate and live in the place that they're living.
Well, let's be very clear. They had logs, okay? They were holding them, man.
Well,
They were holding them.
yeah, I mean,
Just trees right off camera in every shot. So many trees right outside of frame.
yeah, who knows? Maybe there's other villages in the South Pole.
We see so little of it. You know, I wish we did
Yep.
see more.
Yep.
It can't be the only settlement down there.
As soon as Aang does make his way onto the ship, Sokka's just immediately, well, guess we gotta pack and make this happen.
Crazy how quickly he flipped on that.
Yeah.
Or like, not, he didn't, well, he did flip, because he banished Aang for causing the Fire Nation to come back, or possibly being a traitor because of doing the whole setting up the flare by accident. And then as soon as he's captured and finds out he's the Avatar,
That's when they found
that's
out,
when
yeah.
he changes his mind.
Yep.
And he understands that the best thing for the world
Yep.
is to do this. And then you see the grandma,
Yeah.
who, you know, I would think with the maternal instinct of a grandmother or just any family, like, you don't want to see your family go out and die or go out into the unknown, but it's really cool how she can see the value in her two grandchildren going out to help the Avatar. Like, she's letting them follow their call to adventure. You know what I mean? Whereas a well-meaning grandmother might, like, smother her grandchildren and be like, you have to stay. But she understands the enormity of the task that they have in front of them.
Yeah.
And how important it is for them to undertake.
Aang is the Avatar. He's the world's only chance. You both found him for a reason. Now your destinies are intertwined with his.
Yep. And she uses the term destiny, too, as this pair of episodes was aired together as a premiere for the series.
Mm-hmm.
You know, destiny is absolutely a theme throughout the whole series. And talking about Gran in particular, we find out at the end of the season, went on her own journey across the world to find her way to the South Pole.
Yeah, she had her own adventure, and
Right.
she's ready for her grandchildren to go on theirs.
Yeah.
It's crazy, though, like, even after her daughter was killed, maybe that motivates her even more. She's like, you know, my daughter, your mother, died for this. You know, now it's time for you to finish what started all those decades ago, you know?
Yeah.
Just a tremendous sacrifice, though, to let go of your grandchildren.
For the viewer, though, on the same side, it emphasizes the significance of the Avatar to this world, how important this being is.
That's true. In a lot of shows, like, I don't take the reactions of characters as seriously as I probably should, but because I understand and I've seen the show so many times, like, I'm fully invested, and so I'm more willing to analyze these characters as if they're real people. And right now, it just all makes sense. You know, it's like, it's really well done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's believable. Knowing what we know about the stories of these characters, it's like, wow, yeah, that's a big sacrifice. Whereas if it were Shao, I'd be like, that's weird. Why would she do that? That doesn't make any sense. But it's like, it makes sense when you think about it.
It's like, I know this series was planned out from the beginning, but I'll probably say this, you know, several more times throughout the series. I just can't believe these things, these little things that we go on to talk about, tie together so nicely. You know, it shows not only how much they cared about the characters, big or small. I just feel like there's no way they did it on purpose. Not all of it, you know? But, you know, at the end of the day, if you do things well enough on the fundamental level, like they're executing here in such a great way, good things just happen inherently, you know? But I would love to ask the writers if this was something that they were trying to imply the whole time. You know what, too? The quote that Sokka gets from his father later on in the series, that being a man is knowing where he's needed most. The actions he's taking right now absolutely fall in line with those words.
That's true, and he's doing it without the guidance of his father.
Right.
Seems he really internalized those lessons.
Yeah. It makes it seem like, okay, he is ready. You know, he didn't have to be told this. He understands it.
Please, Dad.
Being a man is knowing where you're needed the most. And for you right now, that's here protecting your sister.
I don't understand.
Someday you will. I'm gonna miss you so much.
And when we reunite with his father later down the road, he never questions, like, dude, what would happen? Would you leave everybody there? What's going on? Like, it's all love every time. Who's watching the village? I thought I told you.
That'd be a crazy reunion if his dad was just pissed.
And, you know, when they start to make their way over to Appa, Sokka's all mad. I mean, of course they had to take Appa. There was no way they're doing anything on the boat. That's a great point that they make. To, like, their choice to wait on showing us that Appa can fly was a good choice. You know, that flight felt epic.
It felt earned.
Yeah.
Especially because Sokka was doubting him the whole time.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And it makes a lot of sense when you think about how they were released as a double feature or whatever you call it.
Mm-hmm. Back to back.
So they have that whole running thing of Appa can't actually fly.
Right.
That ties into what I said in the last episode where I was saying how I didn't realize how low on action the first episode was. But this one's like mostly fights. Like there's the showdown with Zuko and Aang, and then Aang fighting to escape the ship in the long drawn out fight, culminating in the Avatar state. So like this one's a lot of action. So they balance each other well.
We get from Iroh that firebending comes from the breath, but Zuko's all muscles.
Yeah, he's fueled by just rage. He basically burns down his entire room. It's a good thing his ship's made of metal, or else he'd set that on fire too.
So much so that he puts his life at risk, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, after this room, we're jumping off the tower.
He leaps off of the balcony to grab onto Aang.
And that was no small jump.
It's like a 15-foot like distance between Aang and the ledge, and then
insane.
Like at least 30 feet to the ground if he missed.
Right.
Hard, cold steel ground.
Definitely really cold.
But Aang wouldn't feel it.
But, you know, like looking back at it, it's like, that's so sad.
He feels he has to do that?
Yeah. Put his life on the line like that.
That's true.
Shows how far he's willing to go.
I never thought about it like that. You know, because I take it with a grain of salt with like action TV show, but it's the desperation he feels. It's like, I finally caught the Avatar and he's escaping. And so he's willing to do anything, even leap out of a 40-foot balcony.
It makes you think, you know, like, why did he get to this point that he's willing to do or go this far? And, you know, at this point in the series, you're 2 episodes in. For a first-time viewer, you don't have much to think about. You know, you and I have the context of his whole life and backstory and journey ahead of him. But for a first-time viewer, you're like, yeah, I got this freaking angry teenager who wants his honor back. But half his face is scarred, you know, and that is no small scar.
Takes up half his face, yeah.
Right. So, like, just it being as big as it is, it implies how painful it must have been. It also implies that he has, like, some psychological damage here, too. Like, if you are writing something and you want to portray a character that is lacking in judgment, it's so genius to tear up his eye.
The disgrace that marred his eye blinds him to how evil his pursuit is.
Oh, it's beautiful. Just genius. But he knows what he's doing out here. You know? He's focused. He takes the actions that are necessary. He makes the call early on in the last episode that he's going to need more than basic firebending.
Yeah, and he thinks it could be a fully realized avatar. Like, he has no idea. It's been 100 years. He's surprised to see it's a kid. So he's walking up to this fight thinking he's going to fight a master of all 4 elements, which he was definitely not ready for. I'll tell you that much. Especially without Iroh. What is he doing? What's Iroh doing? Sleeping?
Sleeping.
He's sleeping through the avatar capture?
Yeah. Yeah.
Insane.
He fell asleep so fast, too. Remember when Aang, before he gets to the top of the ship?
After his roast duck?
No. But when Aang is searching for a staff before he finds it in Zuko's room, he notices Iroh's asleep.
Sorry.
Another great little scene to make you love Iroh even more.
I mean, what makes me love Iroh is how much he cares about Zuko, even from this second episode. Because after Zuko throws himself off of the ship, basically, going after Aang, and then ends up fighting him. Zuko gets thrown off the ship, and it's just a testament to his tenacity that he's holding onto the anchor.
Yep.
And then Sokka throws him off of the anchor, and it turns out he's still clinging on when Iroh comes up to save him.
Yeah. Insane.
And so even though he's a little late, Iroh's there for Zuko.
Always. You're right.
And then he helps Zuko launch like a last-ditch fire blast.
Mm-hmm. Which is like the only time that we ever really see Iroh like make an offensive
Move towards the Avatar?
move towards anybody in the gang.
Yeah, and I think it's just because he has to help Zuko do it. Like, that sort of fire blast seems like it's a two-person job, and the rest of the crew is frozen or being thawed. So maybe out of necessity.
And prior to that, where we got that Avatar state.
Oh, the Avatar state gives me chills, man. Yeah. It's the greatest. The musical swell,
Yes.
like the choral notes.
Yes, I was just gonna bring that up. It's epic.
Crazy how strongly tied music is with our emotion. So easily evokes them in us.
They just nail it. It makes you wonder too, like, what is going on right now? How did he get to be in this state in the first place? Is life in danger what turns this power on? Is this something that can be harnessed? So he's sinking down in this water, and it's like, oh, my man's glowing everywhere. And suddenly, he's the greatest bender of water that we have ever witnessed.
Such a cool concept.
First time viewers, I'm sure, like, couldn't even think of such a use of waterbending.
Yeah, you see how difficult it is for any of them to even move water in the first place, but to control just a torrent of water underneath you to propel you upward.
Right.
It's like insanely advanced compared to what we've seen and what we continue to see in the show. It's like, that's still crazy bending even towards the end. It's like, yes, we see it when Aang goes into his avatar state, but other than that, you don't really see bending like that. It's the ultimate.
Yeah. So cool. And so early on, just to get you excited about it.
Just a taste, just a little taste of what's possible.
Yeah. Sokka and Katara see it too. Their jaws are on the floor.
They're like, that's waterbending.
No, that was some waterbending. Yep. Oh my God. Katara's so pissed.
Poor Katara, but she turns out to be an incredible waterbender herself.
She sure does.
I feel bad for Sokka, man. Imagine being the only non-bender. Everybody's doing incredible things, controlling the elements and other people around them. He's just a boomerang guy. Well, boomerang, meat, comedy, plan.
Sword. Don't forget the sword.
Sword guy.
We'll get there.
But not the bending guy.
Yep. And when Sokka and Katara land on the ship, Aang says, "Thanks for coming." Just like Sokka did when
he rode in on the penguin.
Yeah, when Aang swooped in on the penguin.
To save him from Zuko.
Yeah, a little reconnection there. He also mentions here that he breaks out this map.
Here, we'll ride the hopping llamas. Then way over here, we'll surf on the backs of giant koi fish. Then back over here, we'll ride the hog monkeys. They don't like people riding them, but that's what makes it fun.
Insane how fixated he is on riding animals considering he's a vegan. You think he'd have a little more respect for him. Like, first thing he does with Katara is ride the penguins.
He's a vegetarian.
Oh, yeah, he's got the egg custard. So he's vegetarian, not vegan. And also a pacifist. That's fair, yeah. If he was vegan, it'd be a problem. But since he's vegetarian, ride all the wild hog monkeys you want.
Well, that's what I was going to say. He never does. Like, we got the Elephant Koi episode in the Kyoshi Warriors. But we don't get the hopping llamas or the hog monkeys.
Hopping llamas. I want to see the hopping llamas.
Yeah. Like, what the heck, man?
I want to spend my vacation
under-delivering on these promises for me right now.
Well, here's the thing. They don't show us every day in the life. Maybe they got to see all the hopping llamas their heart desired. And it just wasn't an episode because Zuko didn't show up. Maybe they had a wonderful time with the llamas.
You never know.
I just think the shots of the gang riding on Appa in the beautiful like twilight hours of the day with the swirling clouds and the multicolored sky.
Yes.
They're just beautiful.
I might have to make that my background right now.
They're so picturesque. And they evoke such emotion. They always take the time, they slow down the music, they give them silence, and they allow the characters to process what happened. Like, that's the time where they think about what happened during the episode. They process negative things that have happened, or they are looking towards the future. You know, it's very wistful. I feel melancholy in those moments. For the listeners, Jim was given a gift of a music box that you turn the handle and it plays the outro song. It smelled so good when you got it. It was like perfumed, but it's all but gone now.
Yeah, I think it was like an Instagram ad that our friend came across. It's just this little metal cylinder with I think the instrument that this track is actually played on is some kind of, I think it's called a marimba. Do you know what a marimba is?
Yeah.
Is that it?
I was thinking marimba.
Okay.
But not really an instrument
We'll
guy.
stick with that for now, I guess.
Marimba's kind of like a xylophone, right? No?
I mean,
What a shame.
xylophone is coming to mind for me, but my knowledge is too limited to say anything confidently.
Well, this one's played in a box.
Nice.
I really think that song should be our outro.
I'm all about it. I mean, as I'm saying now, it just makes you want to take a nice deep breath, you know?
And relax.
And just...
Oh, all right then. I guess we'll see you out with a rendition of Safe on this weird music box.
Not played by me. It'll be played better by Mike.
Played by me, Mike. My rendition.
Until next time. Excellent.